before the break, we were talking about getting a list of names together out of your database. And now I want to talk quickly about identifying new donors and potential new donors. So I want to show you an exercise that I do when I'm facilitating a board retreat or workshop that you can also do at your board. So this is to help you and your board members identify potential donors. Now let me ask you a question first though. If I come into your boardroom, or if you go into your boardroom, not even me, forget me, if you go into your boardroom and say to your board members, give us some names of donors, what happens?
Nothing happens.
For the most part, nothing happens. Yes, thank you, Sean. Some of you were like, well, we might get a name or two. No, you won't. You'll get nothing. Crickets. That's what happens. Crickets. If you go to your board members and say, we're fundraising, who do you know? I don't know anybody. And oh my gosh, goodness, if you ask if they know anybody that's rich, whoo, nothing, right? Nobody. So this is an exercise to help people identify who they know. We're leaving fundraising out of it for a moment. Right now, your organization needs more friends. So we're going to friend raise for your organization, okay? The first step in fundraising is friend raising. So at a board meeting, you can draw on a flip chart, right? What I have on your slide up here. We're going to put the organization in the middle. And I want to know big groups of people that the organization knows. I gave you some starters: clients, board members, donors. Who else does the organization know? Volunteers, excellent. Who else? Adopters, great. Good. Who else? What's that? Vendors. Is that what you said, vendors? Yeah, good, excellent. Vendors. Who else? Yeah. Okay, so you're personal vendors, right? Okay. And I heard somebody say community leaders, right? Community leaders, bankers, fosters. Okay, what was I writing? Personal vendors. That's what I was writing. Okay, I told you couldn't read it. I'm just pretending to write here. Okay. Now you say, okay, now we all understand the exercise. That's just so that everybody understands what we're doing. Now look in the center of the table and you have a worksheet. It looks like this. So find the worksheet. Did you hand it out yet? Everybody has a worksheet. In the middle, I wrote me on this one. You could write you or me, whatever you want to write. Now we want to identify big groups of people that you know personally. So who do we have on here that you personally know? Your big groups, not the organization's groups, your personal networks. Family, good. Friends. Who else do we know? Okay, your doctors. Businesses that you frequent, right? Co-workers. I'm sorry, I missed it. Neighbors, yes. Okay. Who else? Okay, professional associations. I heard somebody over here. Yes, social media. Friends, Facebook friends. Okay, and you said professional, what was I writing? Professional associations. Good, thank you. What else? Clubs you belong to. Well, somebody else said something? You know personally media and entertainers? Okay, so I'm going to assume they're friends, neighbors, or colleagues. How do you know? Like I want something that's generic. But you'd put on your list media because that's your network. I'll put it. Okay, you know what you mean. Okay, who else? How about my soccer moms, right? My kids, friends, parents? I don't know. Soccer moms. Church, yes, church. Book club. Rotary. What else? You don't have time for all this? Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Eagles, yeah. So, listen, if you go into your boardroom and say, we're fundraising, who do you know? They say, I don't know anybody. But now, so don't go in and say that. We're not going to go into the boardroom and say that. We're going to say, we're doing an exercise to talk about your networks and figure out who you know. Because now you know a lot of people, right? This is a lot of people you know. Now, so when we're going back to our ABC acronym, access, belief, capacity, they have access to all of these people, right? Every single board member has access. You have access to all of these people. Now we need to figure out who believes on this list and who has capacity. So let's start with belief. I told you we're not fundraising yet, we're friend raising. So who cares about animals on this list? So on your sheet, you see there's a line from each group. So I want you to only identify one person in each group. So friends, this is Mary, right? We're going to write on our, Mary cares about animals. We're going to write her name down. Under family, Aunt Sue is a dog lover, so we're going to write her name down. So in each category, we're going to think about one person who believes or could believe. And then maybe that day, maybe another day, we're going to think about who has capacity to give a gift. Probably not a major gift, but a gift. And that's how you expand your networks beyond your fundraising database, because you're taking your board members, and you can do this with staff members, with your volunteers, and expanding the base of support potentially for the organization. And what we want these people to do, what we want your board members to do with these people that they've just identified, is cultivate them, is to build relationships between those people and your organization, right? So now we're in step 2. So we've done identification. I've given you 2 ways to identify potential donors, 1 out of your database and 2 from your networks. And now we're going to talk about cultivation, which is step 2. So what is cultivation? What is this second part of the fundraising process? What? Building relationships. Yeah. Okay, so what do we mean by that? How do we build relationships? What does it mean to build a relationship between an individual and an organization? Trust. Yeah, trust. I love that. Trust. Involvement. Yeah, get involved. Consistency. Okay, transparency. Okay, so be more concrete. Tell me, how do we build trust and consistency and transparency? You're right. Those are all right. Okay, communication, being honest, right? Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I personally believe that a softer approach is better. So instead of going into like, hey, this is who I am, this is what we do, I try to get to know them first.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, find out if there's anything that we have in common, and then build on that. And it's not going to happen that particular moment. It's going to happen over a period of time. My personal opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So building relationships takes time. It's over a period of time. It's not immediate. You know, you may, depending on what type of fundraising you're doing, you want to think about the 3rd gift, the 4th gift, the 5th gift. So when you're building a relationship, with someone, it's not just about the money that moment and go away. You want this person to be a supporter for life. And so you're really thinking about, how do I build a relationship? So more concrete, what are ways for donors to get to know about your organization and for you to get to know the donor? And I'm going to take it a step farther. Why is it important for you to get to know the donor? Oh, you know what? We're going to start using the microphone because I've been told that we really need to for the video. So I'm sorry. We're going to try and do this sometimes. Okay.
Our nonprofit in Carson City cultivated these relationships is we hosted an exceptional dinner, and we reached out to the attorneys in town, and we found a really beautiful location and had a 3-course meal. So the tickets were not inexpensive, but what we did then is really present what Cassie is all about, why we're doing what we're doing, and inviting them to then make a larger contribution. And it was really successful.
Great.
And we do have some of those people who still donate and participate with us.
Excellent. Okay, how else? Great, thank you. How else can we cultivate people to build a relationship? Even think about, what do you do on a first date? Let's use a first date as an analogy. What do you do to get to know somebody? Yeah, let's.
Just ask questions. I mean, I guess learning sales, ask the questions and let the client speak, open-ended questions, so that you can learn about them.
Great.
Versus you doing all the talking, because then you can start to build that rapport and relationship.
Great. What's an example of an open-ended question, or what question might you ask to get to know somebody?
How familiar are you with our organization? What have you heard about us? Anything that's not yes or no, getting them to speak, getting them to tell you more about them is the best way.
Excellent. Excellent. Anybody else? How else would you build a relationship? Okay. We're going to run the microphone over to you, if that's okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we're going to play catch with the microphone.
I would ask them how they spend their spare time and what is their passion.
Great. Excellent. Okay, so in order to be asking these good open-ended questions, you need to be I was going to say face-to-face or over the telephone, but one-to-one, right? Video chat you could be doing, but really in a one-to-one setting. Less likely that you're doing that in a group setting, really getting to know somebody. Yeah. Any other ways? Anybody want to suggest? Yes. Oh, ask them about their pet. Great question, right? It seems like an obvious one here. Yes, great. But nobody else said it, so you get the prize. You get the gold star today. Okay, good. We're going to spend about 7 minutes now at your tables. I want you to come up with the biggest list you can of ways to both educate people about your organization and get to know them. I want you to think a couple of things. One is there's one-way communication, like your newsletter, right? That would be one-way communication. I want you to think there can be some of those on your list. I want to make sure that on your list is included two-way conversations. And we already talked about group settings and individual settings. So using that as your parameters, I want you at your group, 7 minutes, make a list of all the ways you could cultivate someone or build a relationship with someone at your organization. Why don't you guys join them so you have a bigger group? Each table is going to say 2 or 3 things. Pick your favorite. 2 or 3. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, or 3 things. Okay, everybody listen to your colleagues.
Okay, for 2, we wanted open house and start bringing in groups.
Hold on, wait until everybody's quiet. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. That's like your.
I don't have to go back to school until Monday. Come
Okay, well, you know what?
with my
You
kindergartners.
got to learn these tricks, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Now
that's
you're
my
up.
world. Okay, the open house one, we talked about bringing in groups and showing off our facility, what we do have. And then another one is going out to the Elks and other organizations and become their guest speaker. I know it's a one-way, but I got to start somewhere. And our other one, last one, was taking our dogs out and doing meet and greets at Walmarts. We're a small town, so our options are limited, but that was ours.
Okay, thank you. Next table, whichever. You guys.
Okay. One of the ways we've always tried to start with people is to invite them for a personal tour of the facility and just take the time to individually answer all their questions and just show them the facility and then dinner out or coffee or something for someone individual.
Okay, everybody heard that? Dinner or coffee? Yep. Okay, great. Okay, next table. You guys want, who's going to say one or two things? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I almost touched your microphone. Well, my biggest thing is I'm in and out of hospitals now for the last 3 months. So I attack everyone in my doctors, my surgeons, people that give me pills. They're selling me pills. I'm selling them Cat's Ink. So this is my biggest claim to fame. Anybody else got something here at the table that like this?
Okay, you can pass the microphone. Go ahead.
Basically, when you're standing online and there's people around you and people start talking to you, I tell them my name. I say, hi, my name is, I'm passionate about, and this is what I do, and this is my company. What are you into?
Okay, great. Cynthia, did you want to add one thing? Or
Yeah, because we don't have a physical facility and our van is basically our office, a lot of times if I've got corporate clients that are asking questions about us, I'll say, why don't you come and take an adventure with us? And they go out with us and they're like, holy crap, this is what you do every day? This is kind of cool. And we've actually gotten some corporate sponsorships from that. So
Yeah,
we
that's
just invite them to adventure with us.
Yeah, that's amazing if you can provide an experience. Great. Okay, who else wants to go?
So we decided that we would create a very short letter of introduction so that wherever we were, if we were at the dentist, the gym, or whatever, we'd be able to say, oh, here's a little bit about us. If you're interested, we'd love to show you around, or you could come to one of our adoption events. That's what we want to do.
Great. Excellent. Next table. Anybody want to report out? You don't have to.
We also came up with a facility tour idea, but as we discussed, many of us in this room don't have a facility. So doing something on a smaller scale, like a dog-friendly patio and a little event where we could invite people to come join us, meet some of our dogs, and just talk and socialize and get to know people.
Great. Excellent. No? Okay, come on to this side of the room. Who has something that hasn't been said yet that wants to share? Okay, we've got one over here, and then we'll come over here.
So we talked similarly about getting people in-house and educating them, but the specific question that goes along with that was, what did you find that was most impressive here? And that way, when they talk, if it's your clinic or a certain animal, or you can make the ask in that sense. But Sean brought up a great opening question that he always starts with is, are you a dog or cat person? Even before the name, and how that kind of breaks the ice. Then asking about their pet, and then saying, oh, I was just wondering because this is where I work. And really just kind of breaking it that way and starting that conversation, that open dialogue.
Great. Anybody at this table want to share anything? Thank you.
We just discussed a little bit about more of sharing the why it's important and what the person gets out of it when they volunteer or when they donate to us, especially like about the trap and release for the cats. Why is it important to them? How is that helping them The spay and neutering, why is that important to them? Instead of just thinking that I have to be an animal lover to donate, that you don't even have to have a cat, that you're still helping the community and you're still helping humans too, because a lot of people I hear, oh, you're one of those cat people, you love cats. Well, maybe they haven't seen that person that needed their cat helped, how happy that makes that person and how much they needed help and how the relief that comes over that person when they receive the gift of what we do for them.
Great. Was there a hand, two hands in the back? Yep.
We kind of just talked about personalized communication, handwritten letters. I think that goes a long way, especially nowadays. And also being able to sponsor an animal. So maybe if people want to see exactly where their money's going, I think a cute picture of a dog or a cat goes a long way.
Yep. Okay, right next to you. She had her hand up. Thanks.
We also discussed doing different events within the community, whether it's a spaghetti dinner or a Pinot's palette. We've participated in First Friday, getting out into the community so they are aware, and also asking people that have adopted from you. We use Maddie's pet assistant and direct them in that way to build that community and ask them to share their stories with us, their adoption stories, their photos. It really keeps them engaged in the mission.
Excellent. Anybody else? Okay, one more over here.
I just wanted to add, we live in a small town, and we have a lot of like 4th of July, Cinco de Mayo events that they usually give a nonprofit a booth to, so we could set up that information there and maybe acquire their email address, and so we could contact them later, but it basically say what your organization's about, and hopefully, maybe do a raffle for a shirt or something like that, and just get the word out. Maybe we could get some donors that way.
Great. Thank you. So I want us, as we're going through in the next couple of minutes, we're coming around with cultivation plan worksheets. Just leave them for a moment. I'll get to them in just a minute. Just leave them on the tables for just a second. I want you to look at your lists that you just talked about and think about the ones that apply to your top 20 donors, your top 20 list, because I heard a lot of things about sort of more mass marketing and going out to the community at large. But I want you to think about building relationships with the people, bless you, that could give you potentially the biggest gifts. So some of you are still in the mentality of mass marketing and throwing your fishing nets. I want you to bring it close to home. That the people, 10 or 20 people, could fund your whole organization. How are you gonna treat them? Your VIPs. Okay, your top 20 people, I want you to look at your list and circle the activities that you wrote down that apply to those individuals. Does that make sense? All right. All right, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to give you in a minute or two. Okay. In a minute or two, I'm going to break and let you guys work on your own cultivation plans. Let me just say a few more things about cultivation plans. When I was first getting started in fundraising, I know it's so distracting with the papers coming around. Distracting for me, distracting for you. Okay, when I first started in fundraising, I used to think it was my job to tell the person across from me everything I knew about whatever organization I was working for. I happened to be, in my first fundraising job, working for a domestic violence shelter. And so I would get together with somebody and tell them everything I knew about these women, the kids that were living in our shelter. I would tell them facts, figures, and stories. After me droning on for 45 minutes, how do you think they felt? Depressed, bored, overwhelmed, bored, zoned out, right? What's the number one thing that people like to talk about? Themselves. Everybody in here knew that. You all know that. And so when I or you go out and talk for 40 minutes, what's happening? Is the other person with us? No. They're not engaged. Thank you. And so a big, huge part of fundraising is listening. So I love that you talked about asking open-ended questions. The only way for us to get to know people and why they might give to our organization is to learn about them. And the only way to do that is to ask them questions. Right? Tell me about your pets. But what do you know about our organization? What do you love most about our organization? Or why do you think we're important? What do you think we need to be doing a better job of? Right? No. Oh, okay. Well, you're asking a donor, what do you think we as an organization need to be doing a better job of? Yeah, listening. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Right. Asking for somebody else's advice or opinion on what's been going on is really a useful tool and a useful exercise at your organization to learn what's going well, what's not going well. You can ask them, what other organizations are they involved with? What would motivate them to volunteer? What would motivate them to get involved? Right? Yeah. Yeah. Inviting them in to see what you do. I love, what did you say about bringing them on an adventure, right? If you can take them out and show them the animals in action, what's happening, what you're doing, yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes, asking them, what are they passionate about? What motivates them? Yes, absolutely.
So I was going to say, the advice app is actually a great technique. So you're looking for lead gifts for a neighbor's campaign. Not like the Catholic campaign, but we're building a smaller thing. And I'll meet with some of our top donors and say, hey, I'm thinking about rolling out this campaign. What do you think about it? What do you think the best way to bring it to people like yourself is? And you're asking them advice. And by the time you're done, they're like, oh, and I'm in for 20 grand. Or let's have a house party and I'll bring all my money.
Yeah.
By asking them for their opinion and advice, you're subtly letting them know you're going to do this, and you don't even have to make the ask.
Yeah, so a great technique is to ask your donors for their advice about your campaigns, about your strategic plan, about your plans, so that they can weigh in and have buy-in and feedback and feel engaged. And that's the engagement leads to donations. So you want to do this with as many people as you can, but certainly your top 20 people. So you want to sit down with them one-on-one. So this picture just reminds me to remind you that you should be doing more listening than talking, right? There's an expression, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You should listen twice as much as you talk, right? Okay. So, yeah. Oh, does she say that? Oh, God. I've never watched Judge Judy. All right. Okay. So anyways, that's very funny. I had no idea. Nobody's ever, I say that all the time, and nobody's ever told me that Judge Judy says that. I had no idea. Okay. So you have in front of you, you were just handed a cultivation plan, a 1-page worksheet. So I want you to think of one donor, one of your top 20 prospective donors that you're going to create a 1-page cultivation plan for. Now, but let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about. So we need them to both be educated about our organization, so we are going to provide them with some information. We want them engaged, so if we can bring them on an adventure or for a tour, but we also need to have at least one-on-one conversation, at least, so that we learn about them in a personal and meaningful way. So the plan on the screen. Invite for a tour, right? Maybe a board member would do this. And listen, you're building a relationship between donors and the organization. So we want them to trust the organization and to know multiple people at the organization. If they just know the executive director or they just know the board member, and that person leaves the organization, then we've lost all that relationship and trust. So we do, to some degree, want to build it with multiple people. So a note on a newsletter, right? You don't want to just send them your newsletter either by email or in the mail. These are your top 20 VIPs. Add a Post-it note. Say, hey, I thought you might be interested in the article on page 2. Oh, hey, your picture's on page 3, or whatever. You want to talk to them. Same thing with the gala invitation. Don't just send them your invitation. Write a note on them. This is personal. Okay, so I want to just give you like 4 minutes. Think of one person, start to fill out. How are you going to interact with them this year that leads to an ask? This is a relationship building process that leads to asking for money. And no, not every box on your sheet needs to be filled out. You don't need to do every single month, but if you notice that you haven't contacted them in 4 months, we have a problem. That's why this calendar is valuable. So I'm just going to give you like 4 minutes. Start to fill out. Think of one donor that you could do this with. Go ahead. Any questions? Okay. Everybody have a plan in front of them? Okay. Okay. How was that experience? How's filling out the cultivation plan? Yes. Loud. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, to bring out their passion. I mean, if they don't have a passion for animals, this is not the right fit. Not everybody, not everybody is going to be a good donor for your organization. If you get in front of them and then they say, well, I give to cancer because of this reason, and I give to the environment for that reason, and I give to the library because of this, and animals would be 5th, 6th, or 7th down on their list, say, that's wonderful. Those are important causes. Stop wasting your time with that person and move on to the next person. Not everybody is going to be a donor for your cause. And it may be hard for you to understand, but this is your number one cause, and your job right now is to find 20 people who also think that this is their number one cause, or 2 at the 2 or 3 at the bottom. But not everybody is going to be a donor for this cause, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. Okay, what else? How was this exercise? Was it hard, easy? You're not sure what you're doing? Hard. Can you tell me why it was hard? Okay. You have a strategic plan for each of those for individual people, and you follow it? Okay. Okay. Okay, because the things didn't work. Right. Okay. So that's okay with me. So increase their monthly giving or their quarterly giving, or when they do give, say, okay, last year you gave, $2,000 4 times. This year we'd love to see you give $10,000. Do you want to do it monthly or quarterly? How would that work best for you? This is the need. Yeah. Right? Yes, we're going to get to the ask. After lunch, we're going to get to how to ask. But yes, basically, if you... Well, you. Yeah. Yeah. This is what you're able to do now. And we're trying to do this. We're trying to protect this many more animals. Could you help us even more? Right? Then we're so grateful. Start with that. Lead with that. We're so grateful for what you do, and we want to protect even more animals. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, but you can talk about impact, right? So you can talk about numbers of animals, health, quality of life of the animals, all sorts of training capacity for fosters, or, there's a whole bunch of things. And you can say, if we only had X, Y, and Z, we would be able to do this. And is that something you'd like to help us do? Okay? Yes. Yeah, great. Yeah, it's all about the animals. It's not for you, and you can take the money off the table. Just say, how many animals would you like to help us rescue this year? Right? Yeah, go ahead.
One thing that comes up a lot of times in our minds as fundraisers or board members or anybody else is the fear that you're going to offend somebody by asking them for money. And I've been doing this for 20 years and been doing it for a long time. I have never had somebody imply or tell me they were offended to ask them for more money. You won't hurt their feelings. You won't put them off. If anything, they're going to feel bad because they can't help you. They already help you. They love what you do. And they'll be bummed like, I can't do that. Or they'll find for other reasons. But you will not offend them. And so don't worry about that. Tell them you're doing good work. Tell them you love them. And then ask them for more help.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. You do want to be grateful for what they're already doing. It's not like you're not going to do that. You're not going to go in and say, you're only giving us this. Can't you give us more? You're going to be respectful. You're going to be thoughtful. You're going to talk about the impact. And you're going to tell them what the needs are and see if they want to help. And they do want to help. They are already helping you. So one of the executive directors that I coached a couple of years ago, she hated asking for money. I mean, she couldn't do it. She was paralyzed by fear. She just wouldn't do it. But she knew that she needed to, so she hired me and we worked together. And finally what we came up with was that she was going to go in and tell donors, the last thing on earth I want to be doing right now is sitting here talking to you about money. But the animals, in her case it was children, are too important for me not to be doing it. And so I'm here on behalf of the children, behalf of the animals, asking you for help because I can't do it without people like you. So she just put it out there. She said, I don't want to be asking you for money. I'd rather be doing anything else on this planet right now. But I can't help my cause without you. And so here I am. And it worked beautifully. She could do that. She was genuine. She was authentic. Donors responded to her. And it really worked well. So if you can come up with whatever your authentic, genuine, honest self feels about it, say, listen, I really don't want to ask you for more money because you've done so much already. But there's more animals to save. And so here I am telling you what our needs are to see if you can help in an even bigger way this year and help us raise more, save more animals. Something like that. You have to find what words work for you. And part of what we'll do this afternoon is find the words that work for you. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do that. Okay, but first what we're going to do before lunch, before we get to the words, was handed out the case for support document. Everybody should have that now. Okay. So let me just follow my slides. Okay. So we've actually gone through our first 2 steps now. Basically, you now should know how to generate a list of 20 people. You've identified your prospects, and then you need to build strategic cultivation plans, strategies for getting to an ask. If you just hope it happens, that's not a good strategy. That's why I've given you this calendar. Be strategic, be thoughtful. Have we invited this person in? Have I sat down with them and talked to them about their passions and their needs? Am I ready to ask for a gift? And so you've gone through steps 1 and 2. Now we're going into solicitation, which we will go into detail after lunch. But right now, what we're going to do is think about your case for support. So I want you to answer the questions. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, not much time, to think about what are we proud of at our organization? What makes us extremely proud? What do we want to be shouting from the rooftops? What's the impact? What difference do we make? What would happen if we weren't here? What would happen if we didn't exist? How are we unique or different? Look, there's so many animal groups in the room. If you're both talking to the same donor, they can say, but I give to one. Why should I give to the other? What's the difference? What makes you unique or different? And then what's your story? Why is this the cause that you've chosen to work for, to volunteer for? Why is this important to you? Okay? So I'm just going to give you, 6 or 7 minutes, I guess. Go ahead. Start filling that out. Was this easy or hard? What did you think of this exercise? Easier. Yeah, okay, good. All right, somebody tell me, what are you proud of at your organization? Somebody who's willing to stand up and tell me what you're proud of. Okay, here you go. Oh.
Mostly I'm very proud of our adoptions and the welfare of our animals. We take really good care of them, and they usually go on to really good homes. That's basically my main thing. They are really well cared for. They are played with. They are loved. They've been thrown away for whatever reason. Sometimes not through the owner's fault, but they are an aside thing. And then when we bring them back and we let them know that this because it's not their fault and they're okay and they're going to be fine again. And we do that, and the people come back and say, "My God, this is such a wonderful dog. Why would anybody, that kind of thing."
Great. Did you want to? Okay, thank you.
So our organization is very proud. In 2018, we saved 1,035 dogs, and we were able to educate the public. We go into the schools and we talk to the kids at a very young age so that we can instill that empathy and love of animals. So we're really, really proud of that.
It's great. Yep.
I don't really want to stand up. I'm really proud of the fact that we work with 18 different rescues and up to date with 169 dogs. 169 dogs have found homes through our program.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, one more for what are you did you? Oh yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Diane. I'll let you do it next. Okay. Yep.
We're really proud that because we receive no government funding, we have no caps on medical care, and none of our animals have any time limit. We take a lot of the older animals that would be deemed somewhat not adoptable or likely to be adopted, and just purely based on the community contributions, we're able to give the type of medical care that really no other shelters can, and adopting close to 5,000 animals in 2018.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Oh, up over here. Yeah, Mr. Carter. Yeah, no. What am I supposed to know? Uh-oh. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I wasn't allowed to watch TV as a kid, so I don't know what that is, but okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm very happy to say that this is our 21st year helping animals in this community, and I think we are making a difference. I hope we are. My wife and I take no salaries, no stipends, no money whatsoever. Everything goes to the animals, and I hope that's a lead position that others will consider. It's not about the money, it's about the animals.
Okay, great. You know what? I have to respond. It's really commendable what you're doing. However, as a person who works professionally in the nonprofit sector, it's a major concern when I hear that an organization says we have no administrative costs, there's no costs, and everything goes to the program. Not to belittle what you're doing. It's amazing that you can do that. Not every organization can. And what's happened as a result is that the media then makes organizations that have administrative costs out to be problematic to donors. And so donors say, well, your administrative costs are too high, right? You've heard this. So how high are your administrative costs? I've even been in boardrooms where the executive director says, you know, we only have 5% administrative costs. And it's a badge of honor they wear, right? They're really proud of that. But what that does then is that donors think that that is a benchmark for success. And so if I have organization A over here and they have no administrative costs and everything goes to program, and I have organization B and they have 20% administrative costs and they can prove that their programs and services work, but program A can't because they don't spend any money on evaluation, I would rather give to organization B that knows that their programs and services are successful than program A that may or may not know that. We also have an issue in the nonprofit sector that you're working with broken computers, broken chairs, falling down desks, lack of supplies. You can't get the staff that you need because you don't have any money to pay them. And so we're in this vicious cycle. So while I understand that many donors want to see low administrative costs, it's not good for the sector as a whole. The sector as a whole would do better if there was investment and resources and the ability to pay top-notch people. And so, you know, I have to say that. You know, I'm sure some of you disagree with me, others agree with me, but, you know, as a facilitator, sometimes I get the last word, and I'm going to take it right now. So it's, you know, it's an issue, and so it's amazing that you've been able to do that. But most organizations can't, and honestly, they shouldn't. They should be investing in research and development, in evaluation to prove, you know, maybe it's not hard to prove that your organization is saving animals, but it's not the case in lots of organizations, like an after-school program. Are these kids better off because of the after-school program, or are they just, you know, whatever? We need evaluation in lots and lots and lots of our programs. And we also want the best people at the helm of our organization so that we know that our money is being used effectively and efficiently. And if we're not willing to pay organization staff, then they go off and do something else because they have to make a living for their families. And so to me, I want the best and the brightest people at the helm of the organization so that they're managing the financials and the programs and administering them to the best way possible. So when I worked at this domestic violence shelter, we had staff members, we were paying so badly when I started that the staff members, either 100% of them had roommates, lived with their parents, or were on welfare. They could not afford to live alone. And they weren't, you know, anyways, okay, moving right along. Okay. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you for getting my attention. Listen, you can be proud of what you're doing. You have the ability to do that. Most organizations don't, right? Okay, so that's amazing. But I don't want you spreading that around too far because then donors think that other organizations should have zero overhead too, and it's not what's true in most organizations. So, okay. All right. Yes. Oh, of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what's the impact? So we did, what are we proud of? So everybody's proud of something. That's amazing. What's the impact? What difference do you make? Who can share? What difference do you make? Yeah. Okay, right over here, Kimberly. Yeah. Microphone.
We're proud of the fact that we have the opportunity to help 18 other rescues. So that's what we're proud of.
Yeah, okay, that's what you're proud of. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, excellent. Okay, who wants to answer question number 2? That's also your impact. Yes. Yeah. Right.
So
okay.
for her, they're impacting helping other rescues in the community that maybe don't have as much funding, help get their dogs on track to be adopted.
Excellent. Okay, good. Who else wants to answer the question? Any of them, actually. Feel free to answer any of the questions on the sheet. I just want to hear a few more.
Okay. Well, as far as impact, where would a lot of these animals go? We take owner surrenders, but we also take a lot of animals from other shelters that are trying to go to a no-kill environment, but are full to capacity, whether it's in Nevada or in other states. And if we didn't take those animals, where would those animals go? I think we know what would eventually happen sooner than later. And also, we're committed to keeping bonded pairs together, which I encourage a lot of shelters to do because, they're already losing everything they already know. If they have a best friend, why not keep them with them? And they're much more likely to strive, though.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Here in Las Vegas, we should all be very proud of the impact we made because we've lowered the euthanasia rate 90%.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Well, a favorite story when Carson Animal Services Initiative, when we were initially talking to the city about the need for a new shelter, there was the group of people who came in and said, no, we don't need a shelter. We don't need the Taj Mahal. This building is just fine. We're spending too much money, or this project. And through listening to their reasons and why they didn't want it, we were able to really address the need for the new shelter and why it was important. And the community really got behind understanding that nice buildings aren't for the animals. They're for the people to visit. And you want an inviting, joyful, happy place that isn't crazy loud, that isn't full of disease, that people want to work in. And some of the biggest naysayers now donate to the shelter, and they appreciated being heard, and we were able to address their concerns. So it was awesome.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Yes, please. Your microphone's coming.
Thanks, Kimberly. I guess she didn't have the favorite story, but that one kind of struck me as well, Lisa. We had recently a decision that we made as an organization in dealing with our ringworm cat problem. We had over 80, and at one point we were up over 200, and it just wasn't clearing as quickly as we had wanted. So some of our staff felt empowered enough to come to our managers meeting and had a plan, and we're not the first to do it, and we're probably lagging behind, but we took a chance and we did, and today is actually the 2-month anniversary of the program, and we went from 80 cats and we have 3 today. So that's my favorite current story.
Excellent. Yep.
I think for me, so I'm vegan, and a lot of the people on my team are, if not vegan, then vegetarian. And I think a big part of, one, probably what we all do, but our group specifically is try to change the perspective that people have, or the perception of animals, from thinking that they are a meal or something that they just keep in the house to say that they have, to them actually being friends and part of the family, and living beings, not just something that you use in any form for some part of your life. And I think whether it's through education or through, honestly, even probably just like connection and emotional connection with the animals, and kind of getting them familiar with what these animals are capable of, or how they think, or how they feel, and things that they can do that they never thought that they could do. I think that helps with just the way people view, like people in rescue, but then how they treat not only their pets, but pets that they just meet throughout the street. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, yeah, one more. Yeah.
I was just going to say for how we might be a little unique or different is we are breed specific, so we pertain mostly to beagles and hounds. So we get them a lot from the research facilities. Beagles are predominantly used in research facilities, and those dogs can be very difficult to once they come out of that situation. So we take them. Plus, we take them from the puppy mills, and they're overbred from hunting in the south and the east. And we actually work with different, on a national level, to get those dogs off the chains and out of the hunting situation. So that just, we're breed specific, so that's kind of how we're a little unique.
Great, thank you. Excellent. Anybody on this side of the room who hasn't had a chance? Okay. Listen, one of the most important things for you guys to be able to do to fundraise well is to be able to tell your story, to articulate how you're different, how you're unique, what the impact you're having is, because that is what will motivate donors to give. And so when we come back from lunch, we're going to continue to work on telling your story and being able to talk about the organization. Because honestly, you know, some of you alluded to it before. You talked about, Louise, talking to people behind you in line at the grocery store, in front of you, you know, telling your story to everybody. And so we need to be able to be out in the community and talk articulately, succinctly, concretely about what you do, so that people ask more questions. Ask, how can I help? How can I get involved? You have to work on telling such a passionate story that they say, what do you need? What can I do? How can I help? And that's the beauty of fundraising, is before you even ask, they ask you. And that actually makes fundraising so much easier. Okay, let us take a break. Vanessa, lunch is out. Okay, so we've got 1 hour.